have good interpersonal relationships with people around me, and I have been told so. So that also I think can be an asset.
So have you any experience of working in a team in your college or university days?
Yes, sir. I was in school. I was in the student executive, and I was appointed as the secretary of cultural affairs.
Okay.
So we organized all school events and participated in and organized all the events during the entire school year.
Thank you.
Shruti, you are a student of history.
Yes.
And you have sociology, and studying sociology. What was your optional paper in the exam?
It was history, sir.
It was history.
Yes.
Okay. What stand has India taken on the Ukraine war?
So India has taken multiple stand on the Ukraine war. It has taken a very assertive stand in first and foremost condemning the violence perpetrated by both sides. So, and it says that it is bound by the UN Charter and stands for UN Charter and territorial integrity and sovereignty of any nation. It has also been talking to both sides and arguing for and asking for a position of dialogue and diplomacy to solve the war and a complete cessation of conflicts.
What is India's voting record in the UN Security Council and General Assembly?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. In the context of the Ukraine war, so India has abstained from any resolutions by either of the two sides condemning the other.
Is abstaining meaningful, or does it mean that doesn't mean anything?
Sir, in the context of India, I think it is a meaningful stand, and it helps India maintain its strategic autonomy on the issue and upholding its national interest in both cases, at the same time providing itself an avenue for talking to both sides simultaneously and not antagonizing any of them.
Do you think India's relations with Russia, global relations with Russia, are also a factor in this decision?
Sir, I believe that India has categorically condemned the violence that is happening. So that is a constant thing which has led to this decision. But at the same time, it has also abstained in the context of making sure that it does not antagonize both sides and at the same time maintains its strategic interests. So.
Why is the US so keen to expand NATO to include Ukraine? Why?
So, in my limited understanding, I would say simply in terms of the conflict with Russia and the antagonism with Russia and USA has been on since the Cold War, and simply in terms of increasing its sphere of influence and is something that the US has in mind, especially after the Crimea annexation in 2014 as well.
What did Biden say in his speech in Poland? He came out with the real intention to, what was his real intention in extending NATO into Ukraine?
Sir, I'm not aware about this exact statement.
We want to change the regime in Moscow. Okay. Regime change.
Okay.
And Russia is the real intention. Okay, second question. You must have read about the partition of India.
Yes, sir.
In your view, who was responsible for partition of India? Because different people are saying different things. Some are saying Jinnah was responsible. Some of our own stalwarts are saying Nehru and Patel were responsible. In your view, who was responsible?
So, so the unique thing about history is that we never get very direct answers in any case. So there is always a conflict of interest. And I personally believe it was a sum of many things together which led to the partition. And it was especially the political developments which happened in 1946 and 1947 due to the political violence and the violence which happened in Bengal and Punjab during that time, starting from the Direct Action Day, as well as the role of certain politicians such as Jinnah, and the political mobilization that happened after that, which ultimately led to the partition, along with the role of the British governments.
Who was the person or the party responsible for demanding the partition of India?
Sir, it was the Muslim League led by Jinnah.
Masters in sociology. Okay. So tell me, is an individual shaped by society?
Yes, sir. Sir, I do believe that an individual, right from his or her birth, is constantly shaped by the society he or she lives in.
Okay. Okay. What is your view on taxation on digital currency?
So this was a step that was taken in the context of the current budget, and where cryptocurrencies have come under taxation, sir. Sir, I think it is a good step in terms of bringing into ambit and increasing a source of revenue for the state for a reality that is increasing around the world, and so it is an area which was not under the ambit of state taxation. So I think it is a positive step that this area has been brought under taxation.
Okay. You do not seem to be very keen on joining police services. Any particular reason?
Sir, I would like to join any services where I have been provided an opportunity, sir. But since I was provided these options, as compared to the other services above it, I personally feel that I am temperamentally more suited for the other services, and I've talked to other friends, and it also involves arms training, and that I would personally be less comfortable with, but I would be overjoyed if I get to perform in the services, and I would do it to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Shruti, we have asked quite a few questions
Yes.
so far. Any question any topic which we may not have covered, or some topic which may be of your choice, you would like to ask the last question from the subject of your choice?
The poetry is something that I...
So poetry, tell me which kind of poetry you recite or write, English, Hindi?
Sir, I like to read Hindi, English, as well as Urdu poetry, sir. But one of my favorite poems recently is Sarveshwar Dayal Saxena, sir.
So tell me, how have poetries helped in the India's freedom movement?
The poetry is a very potent tool in raising the motivation of people and raising the sentiments of people. So poetry has been a very important part of the freedom struggle as well. One immediate example that comes to my mind is Faiz Ahmad Faiz Subh Azadi, which was in association with the freedom struggle and the partition specifically.
So thank you, Shruti. So Shruti, we have good 10 minutes for feedback. Our strong point is that we give, so long as you say that I don't need anything more to know, we will not let you go. Okay, so give your own assessment about how your performance.
Sir, I think my performance was okay, sir. There were a few questions that I feel that I could have answered
Like?
better. So there was a certain question about Ukraine and Russia, where I felt I was repeating myself, so that I
But
thought,
we didn't feel it.
okay.
What else?
So there were a few things I couldn't recollect, like the standstill agreement and things that I think I should have answered, like the Biden speech, as well as a factual question asked by sir. So So there were certain things which I should have known about the yoga and
Okay.
WHO, which I couldn't recollect at that.
Right. So Shruti, the panel's assessment is, one or two questions not answering, not knowing the facts, really doesn't matter. Right? Basically, a test of personality rather than your knowledge at this point in time. Now you were excellent. Your performance was very good, and I would say flawless. But it's always good to identify a few loopholes. Some of them you have identified yourself. So not referring to the answers that you could not give, especially knowledge related, but I will certainly point out your little weakness on the current affairs.
Yes.
You had not read the newspaper of yesterday, today, and that is why you did not know much about the Hindu minority status matter. Otherwise, you would have, just like other answers, you would have very fluently, you would have answered this.
Yes.
Number two, we were slightly amazed that when the esteemed member asked you about the how much $1 trillion economy India is, you were just blank. And when he again asked another related question, then you were, you were so fluent and thorough in all the matters, So what made you just keep quiet on that question?
Sir, I'm not very good with the facts, and so
No.
I think I need to brush up on.
No, that's okay. So my advice to you is generally the facts are not asked, right? However, certain macro indicators you're supposed to know. अब कल आपसे कोई पूछे जीडीपी का क्या है, सर वो फैक्ट है ये, तो फिर ऐसे तो एवरीथिंग इज अ फैक्ट. सो अब फैक्ट में होगा कि कुतुब मीनार किसने बनाया, ताजमहल किसने बनाया और कितने वर्कर्स लगे थे ताजमहल में, ये तो नहीं पूछेंगे. बट दीज आर broad indicators, inflation, GDP, how economy has gone down up to what was the negative GDP that we registered during the COVID and all. These are things which you are supposed to know. So my advice to you is, when on such a question you were asked and you did not know exact the number, don't keep quiet. Sir, I am not able to, as you had said in many other questions, I am not able to recall. But you knew about $5 trillion economy. You knew.
Yes.
Immediately उसके बाद कहिए कि sir, I am not aware exactly how much we have recorded this year. However, I am very much aware of the fact that India is aiming to become a $5 trillion economy. Initially, it was to be accomplished by the year 2024-25, and that's all. Then he can ask you. In fact, the basic idea about asking the question was not to test your knowledge as to how much is the.
Yes.
It was basically to know, because if you are not able to answer the first question, he need not go into the details.
Yeah.
No point in embarrassing the candidate by asking a question again and again जिसके बारे में आपने पहले ही surrender कर दिया. So have you understood?
Yes, sir.
If you know a little bit about it, you can always say, sir, I'm sorry, exact, I do not know. Then he may say, just guess. Now, that also would not be done. But even you cannot say somebody, I was told in the mock interview that you will not ask such a question. You can't. उसका जवाब तो देना ही है. कई बार hazards भी आ जाते हैं.
जी सर.
But there are certain norms, rules, but there are certain hazards, which are away from the norms and rules that you have to be prepared for. Thirdly, your first question about giving back to the world. You mentioned 2 points.
Yes.
Giving back what I have accomplished, the privilege. Now, what privilege? You are just 24 years old. अभी तुम्हें दुनिया ने दिया क्या है? Right? You can say when you are at the fag end of your career, maybe people like us who have retired, we are giving back to Chair Academy, our experiences. So, At this point in time, this answer is not apt. But second thing that you mentioned about diversity, you expand that a bit more, right? So public services, the basic difference between whether you are an academician, whether you are a corporate in corporate sector, when you have to choose the civil services, the first thing is that you are joining a public service. You're keen on public service. That is the uniquest part about civil services. तो पब्लिक सर्विसेज में कई बार ये भी पूछते थे, पब्लिक सर्विस करनी थी तो यू शुड हैव बिकम अ लीडर, पॉलिटिकल, you should have joined politics.
Yes.
Somebody can ask you. So you can, find an apt reply to that, but वो पूछेगा नहीं ज़्यादा. So these are the 2-3 things which otherwise in terms of communication, in terms of your body language, in terms of your confidence, in terms of your fluency and the use of words, Shruti, I must say that you selected such rightmost words, to explain your point. That's your strength. So we have assessed you as 70%, which ours is the highest. So you have begun with a good note in the morning, and any questions if you have.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask one thing also, which sir asked about the IPS. So, do you think I can give that answer, or is
You
it
get the
appropriate?
right answer.
Yes.
Please. I share everything which the chairman has said. Myself am particularly pleased that you have given the foreign service as the second choice. You are the first candidate who has not given it as the third choice.
Yes, sir.
And but if you have given it as your second choice,
Yes, sir.
then for issues like Ukraine, you need to go a little deep into that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that is what I would like to say. Selection of words was mentioned, and that is a skill, and one of the essential skills required for a diplomat.
Yes, sir.
So don't change. My own advice is don't change your option. I'm joking.
Okay, sir.
To you.
So once I wanted to ask, sir, what would be a good answer to the question where you asked about is Russia one of the concerns why we have abstained?
Russia is the concern, which is the main concern.
Yes, sir.
Because the US has been putting pressure on us
Yes.
to vote with them. We have resisted that pressure. Why? Because of Russia, because of our dependence on Russians arms imports, which are very important for us. So, as you said, national interest is the most important thing. So, our national interest is to stay neutral in this. But should we, in any case, I think it is an unjust war inflicted by the West on Russia.
Yes.
You don't have to say so many words, but most of us in Delhi, the foreign service community, they see it in these terms. So it is you are also on the right side of history. Though your Western media will tell you that you are, why is India not voting for us, this and that. But if you ask this question, then you say because of our national interest, because we import arms. And at this point, with China on our border, one side, the arms need spare.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Anything else, Shruti?
So you were saying something. Sir.
No, Shruti, I was telling there's a question about the why IAS, why not IFS. Normally, it is not asked. This is again in that hazard category. And if it is asked, and the reason why it is not asked, that the interview board doesn't want to give any particular importance to any service. That's one. Number two, the perception of the candidate should not be like this, that this service is superior, this service is not so superior. You haven't got into any service. You can get anything, so why should you get disturbed about it? In case somebody asks, like it was asked today, the best thing would not to compare the services, which you did not, and take it on yourself. Sir, I am best suited. I thought my personality or my not even liking. I'm more suited for, or I'm not suited for the Indian police service, which you said. Without criticizing, sir, a lot of foreign, this is a lot of traveling, I want to be in India, this, that. Or my father said this, mother said this, no. Just take it on your own. You are more, I think, suitable for this particular service. So I thought that I'll do justice with that service if I get it.
It was the word temperamentally, which is a fact. It's not like me. I'm temperamentally not suited to the police.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Temperamentally.
Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
And if you have done your means, Shruti, we are anxiously waiting to see your name in the list, final list.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.